guys, I am Joel, at-home chef dad, and even though I'm outside doing this demonstration, I'm going to make pizza dough. I'm going to try to do a simple, everyday pizza dough that you could use. It would be ready in as little as 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, but even better, 24 hours. So let's get started. Ingredients. 4 simple ingredients: active dry yeast, flour, salt, and warm water. Now, one thing I suggest getting is a kitchen scale. You can get them on Amazon for $10 or $15. Why? Because what I do is I measure all my ingredients based on the scale. That's what, when you hear people talk about weighing your ingredients, that's what we're talking about. If you want consistent, great results with your pizza, you need to measure. And how we do it is you set your bowl on your scale, zero it out, so now it's showing 0 grams. And I always make this recipe based on 1,000 grams or 1 kilo of flour, because these 00 flours come in 1 kilo bags, which makes my math really easy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put about 5 or 6 grams of active dry yeast into my bowl by weight. Six grams. Then I'm going to zero out again, and what I'm looking for is, for this dough, I found 65% hydration makes a really good dough. It's easy to work with, but it gives you great results. What does that mean? That means that 65% of the recipe, based towards the 1,000 grams of flour, is water. So since I have 1,000 grams of flour, I'm going to have 650 grams of water. And this water is warm, heated in a kettle to about 105, 106 degrees. And I am going to fill the bowl to 650 grams of water. Now that's a good starting point. You'll find that it is a little bit sticky. If that's a little too sticky to work with, you could drop down as low as 62 or 620 grams of water. There, 651. That's okay. You could go as high as 70. The more water you add, the stickier it's going to be, but you're going to get a softer, more bubbly crust in the end. But let's keep it simple. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about hydration. 65% water compared to 1,000 or 100% flour. Now, I want this to sit for a few minutes. I'm going to let it make sure my yeast is alive. So it has been a few minutes. I've seen some life, a little bit of bubbles. I know that when the yeast starts to come back alive, it releases a gas. I believe it's carbon dioxide, but the yeast coming alive, the gas is like the poop of the yeast, to say the least, or the fart of the yeast. You might want to bleep that part out, but still, you know it's alive. So now I'm going to add my flour. Got my scale on, zeroed it out to 0 grams, and I'm going to add 1,000 grams of flour. Now these bags come as 1,000. They usually give you a little bit more. I usually dump that in. 1,010. I don't think that 10 grams is going to affect too much, so I go ahead and add it. The other thing you really need here is you need a good amount of salt. I usually measure by hand. I guess it's about a tablespoon or so, but let's see how much it is. 14. I'm gonna level it off at 15 grams of salt. And now I'm going to remove it from my scale. But what I'm doing here now is I'm just mixing. I want to bring everything together. You could just throw this in the mixer and let it go. That's fine too. I like to bring it all together. Something fun about this. You definitely get your hands in here. And what I'm going to do is just bring this dough to a mixture, or this dough mixture together. Scraping the edges. And I'm going to cover this with a damp towel, and I'm going to let it sit for about 15 minutes. Okay, so I've had this covered with a damp towel. I took it inside because it might be Texas, but it's still about 50 degrees outside, so I wanted a little bit of warmer temperature. So I remove the towel. And my dough hook to my KitchenAid or my mixer, stand mixer. And I'm going to let the mixer do the work for me. You could definitely knead this by hand for 5 minutes. I'm going to let the mixer go for probably 3 or 4 minutes. Don't want to overmix it, but I want to make sure it gets nice and worked and get those glutens formed. And from there, we're going to let it rise for a few hours. So I've got it on speed 2. Not too fast, but I'm only going to go 3 minutes or so because that's faster than you can knead by hand. But this is where those glutens form. That's where you're going to get that ability to stretch your dough. So I'm going to let that go and check back in about 3 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 3.5 minutes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my mixer over my bowl. And I like to use a spatula. I mean, you can get your hands in there and get them nice and messy if you want to, and sometimes I do. But here's an important step. So you've got your dough. In fact, I'm going to get my hands a little dirty here, messy. Nice and sticky, move quick. See, 65% hydration gives you a nice ball you can work with, but you got to be quick. I'm going to let that sit covered in a warm area inside for about 2 hours. Some say till it doubles. I let the thing go all the way to the top. 2 hours, 3 hours, it's fine. You do. Now, if you're going to make pizza with this after this on the same night, you don't just make a ball and make a pizza. You need to portion your balls of dough, roll them out, and set them aside to rest. That is very important. One of the things I still use is my scale. Depending on the size of your pizza, 250, 300 grams makes a great 12 to 14 inch pizza. But I also use this. So I will weigh out my dough balls, make it nice and tight, set a couple of dough balls in this nice plastic container, cover, and I let them rest. I let them rise. I let them relax. And when it's time to make pizza, I take one out and I make my pizza. But whether you make pizza tonight after making the dough and let it rise for a couple hours, or let it rise for a couple hours and place this into the refrigerator and portion your balls the next day, it's very important before you just take your dough out that you make sure you make your dough balls, you portion them and let them sit and rise. It relaxes the dough, it makes it easier to work with, and it's a better final product altogether. If you got any questions, leave a comment down below. I hope this helped. If it didn't help, let me know. If I missed anything, let me know. But this dough works great for me. I use it in my oven inside, which I get to about 575 degrees. I also use this dough in my uni, which I can get up to about 900 degrees. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, notifications, and please like it. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what kind of pizza you like. Let me know what you want to see next. Have a great night. Take care.